Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing today? Very excited to see you. I see some people in the comments. I see Sasha with a smiley emoji and a heart emoji. Welcome, welcome. Ooh, relax, no name. Welcome back. I actually ran into your TikTok account when I was scrolling my For You feed, so it's very nice to see you here and on the For You feed as well. Everybody's saying hey. Aw, Sasha says I love you, TikTok Effect House, and I love you, Celine. I love you too. Thank you for coming today. Florentia, hello, our regular. Very excited to see all of you guys. How's your week going? Happy Tuesday. We have a lot of updates today. As always, it's a jam packed schedule, but I have a couple administrative things to go over before we officially get on with all of the questions. Actually, there's another office hour scheduled tomorrow at, I think, 5:30 p.m. PST, but it will automatically translate to your local time if you go to your Discord event section. But it's not hosted by me. I'm still running the stream, so I will be there. But our local community manager, our APEC community manager Vanessa is going to be there, and the office hours will be with technical community manager Mingus. So if this time zone is not good for you, check those ones out. We are super excited to offer those sessions to you, so see you tomorrow as well. Also, this week is just full with live content. Oh my gosh. Starting out with office hours today and office hours tomorrow. On Thursday, we are bringing back the eyebrow remover template tutorial by Weston, which was canceled because of personal reasons, but now it's back and we can't be happier. A lot of people have been asking for it. Oh my gosh, the chat's popping. Ahmed says hi. Relaxed No Name says hello. Celine Florentia says hi. Celine. Reem says hey. Bruno, hello. So excited to see all of y'all. Bruno, I saw that in the Discord that you mentioned that you were waiting for office hours. That was so sweet. It totally melted my heart. Thank you everyone for being here. And on Friday, I'm actually going live to show you how you can create a effect on your TikTok app as well. So busy, busy. Let's go ahead and introduce my friend and co-host August.
Hey, nice
How
to
are you
see
doing,
everyone.
August?
I'm doing great.
That's great. Have you been so far? Have you been this weekend? Did you do anything fun? I went to the beach, but it was very cloudy. But regardless, a beach day is always a great day. So
Yeah, I live at the beach, so I go there so often, and it and it was totally cloudy all weekend. But
yeah.
it was great. Yeah, I went to a party on the beach, so that's always nice.
What? That's so cool. August lives like 3 minutes, not even, to the beach, so he always sends me a lot of fun things that's happening at the beach, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so jealous. I wish I could just walk over to the beach.
I saw them shooting the Barbie movie, for instance. But
What?
anyway,
That's insane. Oh, I wish I could see the filming of a Barbie movie. Okay, moving on, moving on. I can't be too obsessed with the Barbie movie. I am sharing your screen now. The first question is, how do you do skin segmentation?
um, all right, let's just jump right into it then. Um, Skin segmentation. So there's not there's not a perfect way to do it because it requires multiple other segmentations. Um, Currently, if you look in the uh, if you in the assets panel, if you add texture segmentation texture, you'll see all the different segmentation masks that we have, and um, we have hair, head, portrait. So portrait is just the whole person. So you can kind of combine these in a certain way. Clothing. So we'll just add a few of these. But yeah, unfortunately, currently there's no skin segmentation itself, so you kind of have to create it with layering these, which is a little heavy. So if you're planning on doing this with Yeah, so you'll need the person, and then you'll need to remove the clothing and hair sections. Um, and just to give you like a preview, just in case people use this without really know what's going on, um, we'll just do portrait segmentation here first. Just in case you're not sure what's going on, it's actually just a mask. So if you see this cutout on, that means that it's already applying the mask to a texture. So if you turn that off, you'll see the original mask that it's using. So that's all it's doing. Just wanted to make that clear. And then if you invert mask, it's just creating an opposite mask. So you basically are always you're never going to use this because we don't really have any way to use masks in Effect House. We could potentially use this with some 2D image blend modes, maybe. But yeah, there's not many opportunities to use it like that. So the cutout actually just makes everything easier. So if we use portrait segmentation, let's say that we want to, what do we want to do to the skin? Let's say we just want to change it a different color. So we'll add a filter. Yeah, so the filter has its own camera on the default layer. It's a perspective camera. So that's fine. So what we'll do here is put the filter. The first thing we'll do is put the filter on. We'll put a more obvious filter on something so we can see the change. So here's another thing you can do. You can also add a lookup table texture to your project. So let's just say blue because that will be very obvious. So then go back to the filter, change it to our new blue lookup table. Okay, so we don't need this. Really, if you think about it, so if you want just the person to be blue, the first thing you'll do is your portrait segmentation. You'll want to have it set up so that it's actually inverted. Oh, weird. That seems like a bug. It's getting smaller. Yeah, that's definitely a bug, I think, right? It really shouldn't get smaller, I don't think. Let's just see if I switch. Yeah, this one's a little offset as well. So what I'm trying to do is this camera, maybe it's rendering after. Okay, so they're both on the default layer. I probably want this one to happen after. Okay, there we go. So although I thought this was, okay, so this is portrait segmentation. So what you want is the person to be blue. So that's why you would invert the mask. It thinks it can't tell if my headphones are my person segmentation or the background. But you want it to just be the skin. So then you'll also have the, oh, sorry. We can duplicate this. So this one is person segmentation, just for anybody unfamiliar with the portrait segmentation being a person. And then we'll have hair segmentation. So notice how we inverted it. So we actually are just we're covering back anything that's not on the person. We're covering it with the original camera texture, cutout texture. So this is like before the blue is applied. This is the original camera input. And we're just painting that over, not on the person, but everywhere except the person. That's what this invert mask does. And then this hair segment, we want to do the opposite. We just want to keep it normal. But we also want to rewrite the original camera input back over. So we're not inverting the mask for this one. And then same thing with the clothing. clothing segmentation. We're going to do the same thing as the hair. And then that's about as good as you can get with skin segmentation. I think there's still some kind of, yeah, I think there's just a lot of edges. So if you ever want it to be a little sharper, you can take this smoothness down. I wouldn't say that this looks better. I think the smoothness actually helps a lot in a lot of situations, but definitely mess with it and see if you can get it to look right. And then it still seems like there's a kind of a strange shifted layer.
Haley Cat Paws says you look like a Smurf, August.
Nice. Sorry. Yeah. This could be a cool effect, I guess. Even by itself, this looks okay. But yeah, keep in mind this has a filter, post-processing filter, and 3 segmentations. So it already starts off a little heavy. So it's not the type of thing that you want to add a bunch of other features to. But yeah, you can see at the edge of the screen, it's like clipping. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, there's definitely some, either the camera's shifted or, yeah, I'm not sure. But you'd have to go through and check on that for some reason. Maybe the fit is wrong. I don't know. Maybe it just needs a restart. But that's essentially the, I hope that answers the question.
Sounds good, Smurf August. We have another question from a chat. It said, Moth3 Designer asks, hello guys, I want a way to know how to split the face into 2 halves, half of which applies to a effect and another half applies to another effect, even with moving and rotating the face. Maybe we can use the face mask for this?
Wait. Can you repeat that? Sorry. I'm trying to process.
Yeah, of course. I think the Moth 3D designer is asking how to create a split face effect, so that each halves have a different effect and it applies even when you're rotating the face. So I think maybe we can use the face mask and he can only draw 2 different things on each side.
Yeah, I think that should be good. Okay, let's go to face effects and add a 3D face. So yeah, so do you want to be drawing things in the effect, or is this like creating the 3D face asset? So as you can see, this 3D face, it's using the automatically generated face paint material, and this material is using the default texture, which is this checkerboard. So you can kind of see the checkerboard splits right down the middle. If you wanted to edit the 3D face, you might just edit that texture. I don't know if you can actually, you can't see that texture in your assets panel, but you can create any texture that's just square. And on the website for 3D face, if you look at the learning guides, there's a whole pack of like different things that you might need, like the 3D face FBX or model or whatever, and then the textures with UV maps and stuff, so you can see where the mouth and eyes will be. So you could use that to design a split face. On the other hand, if you want it to be like some sort of live thing, you'll probably need to have a 2D camera, and you'll need to put, well, I guess, do you want the face as well? Yeah, I guess more info would be better, because there's a lot of different things you could do. I guess I could put the face texture on this 2D render so we can see it. And then essentially what you would be doing is Probably don't need the filter anymore. Essentially, what you would do is render it full screen like this, and then uh, you could paint anything you want onto it, and then you could, with the 2D camera render texture, you could output to a new render texture instead of the final out. Just a reminder that final render out is different than other render textures. Here's one reason why. If you look at the input texture here for render texture, the input texture is actually the camera input, which isn't available in the built-in textures here. So you can't actually really remake final render out. You can't make it behave exactly the same as a new render texture. So just keep that in mind. But so you would use this other render texture to write what this camera is seeing with this face. And then you could plug that into this 3D mask, the face paint material that we generated. So that would be where we put this render texture. You can see it's flipped upside down for some reason. So let's see. I think we would want to flip it, since it's going into a material, we would just want to flip the camera somehow instead. Or I guess no, we would want to flip this texture. And you can see the hair segmentation there as well. We could flip that as well just to show how it's oriented. But yeah, like you can see the hair segmentation is now drawn onto the 3D face, which is kind of funny. And it's also moving on its own. So it almost feels kind of 3D. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. But yeah, if you wanted to split, you would obviously just, let's take two textures and just show. So default texture 1, we'll just go full screen over here. And let's do stretch mode so it actually looks correct. And then maybe we'll do another one. Okay. And this one we can color. Okay, and that's kind of how you could do it. Yeah, I don't know. Celine, do you think that answers the question?
Yep, I think that answers the question. Another easier way of doing it also is you can draw on the face painting and then apply it. So instead of you doing it internally in the app, you can also do it on Procreate or on Photoshop and have that just apply to your mask as well. In a bit, I can demonstrate that while I set up my program. While we're doing that, I'm going to move on to our next question. August, have you seen those cool effects where it looks like someone is sitting on a Ferrari car and you can use your phone to look around?
Like 3D VR skybox kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. A user is wondering how to create a 360 panoramic effect like that. Maybe using the skybox.
Yeah, the skybox is a great thing to bring up because I've recently noticed some issues with it, and not to point out issues, but I want to point out a great workaround if you do encounter this issue. So I always forget what section the skybox is in. Oh yeah, so the skybox isn't in any of these sections. What you would do is add a cube. So let's turn off all this other stuff we were doing with the filter and the 3D face. So you would add a cube, right? And your skybox is a cube. So for the people who are technically knowledgeable, I'll briefly explain kind of what's going on with this. And then for everyone else, if you don't exactly follow along, that's okay too. and this will still be helpful. So essentially what we've got with this cube is it's just a basic cube with, probably like 8 vertices. And then when we apply the skybox material, suddenly there's no cube and there's a skybox all around you. So what's going on, from my experiments, from just playing with this in the tool, I'm assuming there's like a vertex shader that is moving the points far enough out that they're very far away so that it can render a skybox in the correct way where it looks, infinitely far away or whatever. So when that happens, it appears that the cube itself, the original cube, still sort of before rendering, it sort of still exists there. And so what you have here, I'll just show you, is imagine this is for everyone. See the cube on the screen? It exists currently there. And then if you rotate the camera until it's off screen, it will recognize, see this blue frustum? This is called a frustum, camera frustum. As soon as an object is not within that zone, this camera zone, then it won't be rendered. And that's just to save processing power. You don't want something to be rendering if it's off screen. So how does it know if it's in screen? Well, each object kind of has its own bounding box, right? So, oh, that's a different camera. So, so if this cube has a vertex shader on it, then the actual object isn't changing during the update phase, but there's like a rendering phase thing happening to stretch it out. So let's just change this to a skybox, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So this camera, notice that there's nothing on my screen right now because the cube was not on the screen and it's not rendering. But if I rotate it up to where the cube would be on the screen, oops, then you'll see that the skybox appears again. So, and this is just from my own experiments, and I'm sure it'll, be something that might change in the future. But yeah, just to let you know, there's this thing where when you set up a skybox with World AR, if your camera turns and looks away, your skybox might disappear. So one workaround that I've done is and actually let's do this visualization where I create another cube just to nail this in. We'll add another cube, and this is just a normal cube. It's going to be in the same exact position as the skybox cube. So now this makes it a lot more clear that when you rotate until it's off screen, that's when the skybox disappears. So one thing you can do is, and I'm just going to keep that demo cube on there, you can parent the cube to the camera. And now, if you rotate the camera, the cube will always stay in front of it. Obviously, you don't want this demo cube, right? So you would take that away, and your skybox will just always be there. And so this skybox is kind of what you were talking about, where it's like you look around and you're sitting on the hood of like a fancy car. So creating the skybox is one thing, but bringing it into the project and using it, this is a way to do it. And then obviously you want to add some AR. So you go to AR tracking, just add AR plane, and that will give you your AR camera. I don't know if you would need the AR plane for this, but AR camera, the only difference, it's the exact same thing as any other camera, except that it has this device tracker on it, and you can change between world and orientation. To do a simple skybox like this, where you're sitting on the hood of an expensive car, you would probably just want orientation. But I highly suggest just playing around with both of them and seeing which one works better for you. But yeah, I think that should answer how to set that up. For the asset creation part, I think you would need to check the learning guides online, because I'm not super familiar with creating a skybox, but I know we have great guides on our website.
Yeah, there are also a lot of resources that tells you how to create some.
uh, Celine?
Oops, sorry. It seems like my microphone went off for a second. There's also a lot of free resources. You can click royalty free Skybox download, and you'll be able to download a lot of cool Skybox images that others users have uploaded. So that's a great plus. Sasha says Boom also works for 3D models? Question mark.
Um, which part?
I think maybe the scene where you were talking about how if it's not on the scene of the camera, it's not rendering. I might be wrong, Sasha. If I'm wrong, please clarify me in the chat.
Yeah, in that case, essentially anything that's uh, not in the frustum of the camera will not be seen. Here's another interesting thing though. If, let's say we rotate this camera away, so it's not looking at that anymore. Oh, I guess the AR camera is looking at it still. It's too hard to see where the cube is with this. But I was just gonna say, if any camera is rendering it, then it will be rendered. So if it gets picked up by one camera but not the other, then it'll still be rendered. Yeah.
Sounds good. We have another question from the chat. Florentia says, "Is it possible to have a hair with split color, but that's moving with the hair, like the middle always moving with the hair?" And Reem suggested maybe use two different planes that are attached to the face. What do you think, August?
Um. Yeah. So this would go back to our using segmentation. So if you want the hair to split the color right in the middle, so I have some creative ideas based on what I've done in the past, but that might be overkill, and I think there might be simpler ways. mm, yeah, I think maybe we could do something similar to what we did with the person segmentation and hair segmentation. Trying to think of a way to do it where it doesn't look super janky and like kind of, I don't know. But yeah, I think you would actually just want one, just a kind of like, actually here, let's go here. Save this project. We don't really need to. Let's go to templates, because this is actually, I think everything you're looking for might be in this new template that we released. It's got a couple different sections. So I'll just go through this, and I think you'll find exactly what you want here. So this first section is called solid hair color effects. And every time you blink, it changes the hair color. So this is all solid hair color effects. So you notice my whole hair is one color. If you want to see, there's a second part of this template called gradient hair color effects. So I don't know if you can see it as obviously, but these other hairs are actually gradient. Actually, there. Color segmentation. Creating color image. Yeah, I guess they are. It just depends how close you are to the screen, maybe. Or no, I don't think it does actually. So these are on the screen, gradient color image, and then the hair segmentation is also full screen, and it is, oops, and it is just layered over. If you take a look at the segmentation matte texture, it's inverted cutout. So it's kind of doing what we were talking about in the earlier project before, where we're taking the opposite of the hair from the segmentation and we're just pasting it back over after we draw this gradient color. And we have 4 gradient color textures. Now, you notice if I'm further or closer to the screen, like I think the colors will change, but it doesn't look like they actually are very much. Maybe because there's not, oh yeah, there we go. This one has a lot more color. You can see it changes a lot. Now, one thing you might do to get that effect is add a head tracker, maybe gradient color change. We might, oh yeah, the head tracker is 3D now. The face sticker is 3D. So let's go to image, like 3D image. And then, yeah, we'll just do this before, we'll put this node before. So then we'll turn this off, but we'll create a new one and we'll just say, let's pick an obvious one like this one. So this should track on our head. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do is just make sure this is large enough that it never clips the edge of the mask. And then you'll see that it follows your head. So this will probably be one of the closer ways to get it to look how you want. Especially since it's going to rotate with the head. So it'll always be pretty much pinned to wherever you pin it on the head. You'll notice if I turn my head enough, you'll see the edges of that plane coming through where the mask isn't overriding. So something I would do if I was making a personal effect is I would do some extra things. Like I would maybe write some code to limit a maximum rotation of the image, and maybe not set it as a child to the head tracker, but I would make it, I would set its position and rotation separately in visual scripting and just set like some clamp values to say it can rotate with the head up until, 60 degrees. And then it would make sure that it never rotates to that thin point where you can see it clipping on the edge. But other than that, I think that's probably how you would do it, because it'll even rotate when your head rotates. So not a much better way to do it than that, I don't think.
Yeah, Reem is mentioning maybe depending on the head movement, change the UV offset.
Yeah, you could do that as well if you don't want to rotate the plane. I think that could end up looking weird though, just because the rotation of the head isn't perfectly linear with like how far across the face the center of the face would be. But I would give it a try. If you have an idea like that, always give it a try just to see how it works, because even if it doesn't do what you want, you get to see like how it works, and then that's like a tool for something else, and it might work for something else. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure how. That's a good test to try out. Could be really good.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think that's our last question of the day. However, I wanted to go back to our earlier question about having split face. August gave a really good solution, but in case you're looking for something that's super beginner, here's the screen I want to share. I literally drew this on my iPad while August was showing a great session. So this is the iPad I used, and I did a little split face, if you can see on the screen here, a yellow and some blue. And I literally import this into Effect House, but make sure that you don't get the version with the human face behind, because if you do that, you won't be the person's face texture will also be in it. So just make sure to here, if you see down in the preview, there's no person outside, and if you go to the plus button here under face effects, you can click face mask, and if you do that, it will turn on, and then you can add your own texture under face mask. Here, go under texture and import, and now you can see that it has a half face. And then even if you like rotate the head, let me see if there's one she's like turning her face or nodding, it will move with the face. So I hopefully that's another way that you can easily create a face effect. Perfect. I think that's end of office hours today. Thank you everyone for visiting. Wow, the chat's really active today. Omar, I'm really glad that you can make it to the live streams. Tomorrow, you said you're gonna be at the live. I'll be expecting you. So if you are here, just say, hey, I'm from the office hours yesterday, and I'll remember you. Haley Catpaz says maybe UV offset and a rotation. I think this was regarding to August's answer. Florentia says, thanks, August. Amazing like always. Sasha says, thank you, Celine. I love how many U's you've put in there. That's lovely. Thanks, Celine. Thank you, Grandpa A. August, I think your nickname is now Grandpa August from the time you did Smurf. I have to admit, in the chat, I called you Grandpa Smurf, and now you're going as Grandpa A. Maybe you can add it to your August mug collection. Were you guys here last week when he showed the sad generative effect apply on August's face mug? Everybody was talking about how they wanted to buy it, so.
Maybe I'll have to do some merch.
That's great. Maybe it says August office hours. Haley Cat, thank you for sharing the resources. All of the lives currently are available under the live section of our YouTube channel. So Omar, if you're interested in learning more, please let me know. Excited to see you tomorrow. Okay, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, August. Bye, everyone. See you again soon. Bye. Make sure to tune into office hours tomorrow. Let me choose a good ending song.